Hey guys, are you ever part of a group where you're like, dang, I wish people knew about this group, about this community? Well, today I get to share with you a group that I have been a part of this past year, and it really has been such a light in my life every week. Every week I get to sit inside of this group called the Refine Community, and we encourage one another. Sometimes there were weeks where I cried on a Zoom with women all over the country, and it can be such a great place to get support, be encouraged, and also, on top of all of that, I have gotten phenomenal coaching by these two women that I'm bringing on the show today. I have with me today on the show Teri Johnson and Jen Emslander, and both of them are, they are just two friends that have just created this amazing business, successful business together called Keeping It Personal. And I just wanted to sit down with them and pick their brains about how did they build such a successful membership and community. And now they have a newer podcast out there called Keeping It Personal as well. And I encourage you to go check that out as well. But one of the things that I really wanted to sit down and talk about was creating a membership, because as a lot of my podcasters know, we have to create a sustainable income. Income's not just going to come to us just because we press record. We have to be strategic. And what I love, what Teri and Jen are going to bring to the table today, is how they strategically went about building this successful community. You will not want to miss this. If you've been thinking about creating a membership, if you've been really wanting to hear how other Christian women are building these consulting and coaching businesses, I really encourage you to listen today. They have so much wisdom to share, and I can't wait to introduce them. First, I just want to tell you a little bit about Teri. Teri Johnson is the president and the founder of Keeping It Personal, a national Christian faith-based organization that comes alongside women entrepreneurs, business owners, and sales professionals, helping them strategically grow their business. And Jen is a great connector. She loves helping people. I have experienced that firsthand. She's an intrapreneur who has the honor of serving Christian women entrepreneurs, business owners, and sales professionals to achieve their most deeply desired goals personally and professionally. Both of these women are gold. They are gems to know, and I can't wait for you to meet them in our show today. Before we get to that, I do want to encourage you guys, we have about 5 weeks left of 2022. Let's sit down. If you have not gotten a plan in place for December, let's sit down and hash out those last 5 weeks of episodes and then continue on into the new year so that we can set you up well. All right? Okay, here we go. Welcome to Holistic Podcasting. I'm your host and producer, Kristin Chadwick. After being in the podcast industry since 2016, I am determined to inspire you to start, grow, and maintain your podcast through a holistic approach. If you're an entrepreneur, coach, author, or leader, you need a podcast. And friend, I'm here for you as an experienced podcast coach for over 6 years, working with numerous top podcasts and hosts. Your voice needs to be heard, and your story needs to be known. Through holistic podcasting, you will learn how to market your business coming from an aligned and centered place and through intentional strategy. Thanks for listening to the show. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another awesome show for you. I have the lovely Jen and Terri here with me today. Welcome to the show.
We're so excited to be here. We love you, Kristin.
Yes.
I'm so excited because this is the first time that there are 3 people on the show. So I'm so excited, especially because y'all have this amazing friendship together. And I just get to come and kind of like tuck myself in between both of you and be like, oh, and what do you think? So I'm excited about this. Okay. So I want you guys to share some amazing foundational tools that you guys have discovered and you do so well in not only your business, but also in how you run a community group and how you, I mean, you ooze out these tools in this foundational way of this refined community group. And it not only is in that group, but also in how you run your business and how you run your podcast. And so I am excited for my listeners to hear your journey through that process.
Yeah. So I'm just going to back up for a second, because when I first started Keeping It Personal, which is the name of the company, right? So you talked about the refined community. Mm-hmm. It happens to be like a product of one thing that we offer within the refined community. There's one thing that we offer. So we have our Business Accelerator Mastermind, which is more like really diving in with people to help them more like one-on-one masterminding, but also weekly in their back pocket business partner program. And then we have accountability coaching as another offer. And then we have the refined community. So we have these, but what you're talking about is the common thread that weaves through every single one of them is our success path. And we call it the 6 M's. We call it the refined method. So we refer to it as our success path, our 6 M's, or the refined method. Those are kind of depending on, who we're talking to or whatever. So the 6 M's birthed from my journey of building the company. And so when I first started, I was flying by the seat of my pants. Like I didn't have the 6 M's. So back in 2009, I tell this story a lot, and I would not recommend anybody to do this ever in the history of ever, but I did it. And when somebody asked me how much I charged for what I was doing, I said, well, how much can you afford? Because I didn't really know what I was doing. Right. So anyway, it took me several years to get super clear and on where I was going, what I was doing, and who I was serving. And then once I started to get traction and see the success, I looked back, and then in 2015 is when I created our success path, because I had to go and look back and say, okay, what did it take for me to be successful in this business? Mm-hmm. Now, I had other business success prior to me starting Keeping It Personal in 2009. I had been, I have over 20 something years of experience in business growth and development, but it wasn't until 2009 that I started this own coaching, consulting journey. When I first started, I just wanted to help women just in general. Like it wasn't even about business. It was just personal growth. And then it evolved over the years to be personal growth and business development. Then in 2015 is when I weaved faith into it. So it takes, and businesses evolve. And I think sometimes when people are on the entrepreneurial journey, they want it all right now. Mm-hmm. But part of it is the lessons and the wisdom and things that we gain along the way to help us develop to, where we're going to be. And it's a path of forever learning, right? Mm-hmm. So with our success path, I say all of that to say, I discovered based on my experience that there's these 6 M's that every business owner, entrepreneur, and sales professional, I don't care if you're just starting out or if you've been in business for 20 years, needs to pay attention to in their business. Mm-hmm. And we never will arrive and check the box off of them and have them done and complete forever and ever. Amen. We won't. We'll have to continue rotating because of what I just said. We all evolve. We change, we get new insights, we dial in more on our target market, our messaging, all of the things over time, we start to really hone in on. So we rotate through them. So the 6 M's are mindset, message. And when I say message, I mean your internal and external messaging. So internal messaging for your business are things that you stand firm upon, like your core values, your vision, your mission statement, all of those things, right? Our external messaging is like forward facing, could be our branding. It could be how we're communicating the top 20 problems that we solve, getting really clear about all of the things that we're saying in our conversations, right? And on social media and our emails or podcasts or whatever. And then you have market, which is, we're always fine tuning our target market, and there's layers in there, right? And then, so mindset, message, market, monetize, getting our cash register to ring. We cannot live on love and fresh air. So we're always having to look at ways of how to bundle things, package, pricing, all of the things. And then map is the fifth one. And we have 7 phases of our map. And basically it's our sales and marketing funnel where you take people from free to fee. So there's 7 phases of our map that we need to continue to dial in on. And then last but not least, which is super important, one of the most important things is monitor, paying attention to the things that matter most in our business, right? So those are the 6 M's. And I know you want to also talk about memberships and stuff too, but I just wanted to set that as a foundation of how we got there. And then now that's what we take all of our clients through, but we weave it in every product.
Yeah.
So whether somebody's working with us in our business accelerator mastermind, they just need like a business partner and we come alongside them in that capacity, super high level, the accountability, or refine, whichever, we weave that same 6 M's into all of them. Okay. So it's basically our content.
Okay.
All starts from that. So
which is so cool because I think as I just did a show on starting with your why, and that to me, like that is your why, is those 6 M's, because what I talked about in that show was when you are so clear on why you're doing what you're doing, not what you're doing, but what is important is your why. And with all of those mindset, message, market, monetize, map, and monitor, you have this structure already up in place that your house is all like, it's the framework of everything. Right. And so then it makes it easier for you to create products inside of that. So I love the concept of having a mastermind and then the accountability and then the community. And then inside of the community is all these tiers of, breaking down even more all of those M's and what that looks like. And now on your new podcast, the Keeping It Personal podcast, you're breaking down that even more. And it brings so much peace so that you're not flailing about like, what's my content? What do I do? And so, and I want to come back to the importance of looking back at what has worked, because that's super important. Even if you've been podcasting for 6 months or you've been coaching for 6 months, there's still value in looking back and saying, this has worked, this has not worked as well. What would you add to that, Jen?
I don't know. You did such a great job, Terri. Like covering it. I was like, yes, girl. Yes, girl. It was so good. But I do. And I think what I love a lot about the success path and the 6 M's is that it's not just, like Terri said, one and done, but it's also a tool that we continue to use. So not only do we teach it, but we continue to eat and breathe it. So again, when we're like bringing in something, there's like a few different things that, we check to make sure it aligns, like our measuring sticks. One of them is our core values. Does it align with what we stand for? And then also, where is it, if we're doing this, how do we go through and make sure whatever we're bringing into Keeping It Personal, when you're going through your 6 M's, like where are we at with all of these? And the thing that I love about the 6 M's is, again, one thing that we're so passionate about is always breaking it down. Like, again, it's so overwhelming if you're trying to fix everything all at one time. And so a lot of times when I'm working with clients, I'll be like, just go through your 6 M's and find where the weakest link is right now. And let's work on tightening that link. And then let's reevaluate what's the next link. So it's not necessarily in that exact order. It's where you are right now in your business. And like, again, if those if that's the foundation, where's the wiggly brick?
Mm-hmm.
Let's tighten up that wiggly brick so we continue to maintain a really solid foundation.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Really good.
Okay. So if you're listening right now, and I want you to specifically think about your podcast and your business, because I mean, that's what this podcast is about. So if you go through each of those M's, is it your mindset? Is it your message needs to be clear? Those internal and external messages? Are you clear on your market? Monetizing, mapping it out, and monitoring. So what resonates with you as that I don't really want to think about monetizing or whatever it is for you that you keep putting it off? That's what you're saying, Jen, is to take a look at that and really break it down in those areas. That's really
Yeah. And the other thing, once it's one thing to understand what needs some work, but it's another thing to be like, okay, I know that there's a problem or this isn't a strength. So how do I fix it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's where another thing that we just really talk a lot about is like, it's okay to identify it, but then you also have to create strategy and make sure that you're doing something to move yourself forward. And a lot of times that's bringing in support and help or whatever it is, if it's not your strength, to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to strengthen this foundation too? Because we try, again, if you're solopreneur, we get it. We understand, like, you're trying to do all the things, spin all the plates, wear all the hats, all of the stuff. But sometimes it's just important to also like bring in support when you're understanding and noticing that you've got some, it's something that's in one of those 6 M's where you are a little bit weaker and you need to strengthen it, but you're not sure how.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, I'm all about like reaching out, getting support and getting the help that you need to make sure that you're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And these women are excellent at breaking that down. So I'm going to continue to put people your way because they have been such a gift to me in my whole journey of growing my business and growing my podcast, especially my newest podcast. And they are very gifted in really, really breaking it down in a simple way that can be doable. And all those SMART goals, it's specific, measurable, all of that. And it's not overwhelming. So, and you're always so encouraging. You were going to say,
well, what I was going to say too, is we also need coaches too. So it's interesting that you say that, because like what you do, and people, like if somebody wants to do a podcast, they're going to need help, and you are a great tool and somebody that they can link arms with too, to help them grow and scale. So everyone needs, and we have coaches that we hire, we have people that we have to link arms with. Sometimes we're too close to the situation. Like Jen and I were on a coaching call with one of our coaches, our primary coach, last week. And oh my gosh, we puked on him what we were thinking. And he was like gold nuggets just back at us. And we're like, oh, like this is what we're paying for. We love this.
And the heavens opened.
Yeah. And it's like, so everybody needs that. So you just, and so I just wanted to just to share, like everybody needs that. Yeah. We love what we get to do and how we serve. But we also hire people to help us too, because sometimes we're just so close to the situation that we need help looking around and seeing other possibilities or different ideas or ways of doing it. Yes. So
such a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Every coach needs a coach. Like my mom's a therapist, and she would say, don't hire a therapist that doesn't have a therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
We're going to pivot a little bit. I mean, we're going to be talking about community and membership. And another great thing that you guys are excellent at is creating a safe, accountable, encouraging environment for like-minded female entrepreneurs to come and be a part of and be supported. And it's Christian-based. And you have done it so well. And so that was one thing that if I had you on my show, I wanted to just pick your brain of how, I mean, even with these 6 M's, I know this is foundational for you. How did you create this so successfully? Because I know there's so many podcasters out there that are thinking, well, if I start a membership, that could help support this community. And so, I'm going to pass it to you, and I'm going to glean and continue to be a vessel for other podcasters.
Yep. Okay. So the first thing I always tell people is it is a big decision, because it, especially most often with memberships, they are a lower price point initially. I mean, that's what we have, tiered programs, right? And our Refined Community membership, it's $97 a month. It's our primary entry level way to get started with us. Okay. And then people upgrade from there, or people just come in and do the business accelerator mastermind and they're not even in Refined. So we get them all over. But my point is like, it's a commitment, and you cannot live on $97 a month from one person. So if your goal is to create something, you have to be committed to the build out of your community. So I always caution people, like, do you want to build this type of business? Because it's very repetitive. It's unless you do a really huge launch and get a ton of people in all at one time, it can take time. I mean, I think I started with one member, and then we got 5, and then we lost 1, and then we got 10. I mean, I have every month by month, the amount of members that we had, gained, and lost. I have a spreadsheet. I mean, I just started tracking from day 1. And so I knew I was committed to the reoccurring revenue model, and I wanted a lifestyle business. And that is why I went into developing Refine back in the day. And that was in 2015. In 2016, we incorporated an in-person element to it. So in 2015, it was all online. And I didn't have a team, and it was just me. But I knew I wanted the reoccurring revenue, and I knew I wanted to create something that gave me a lot of flexibility. Then in 2016, we incorporated some in-person networking with it and grew that way. And then obviously when we had our, pandemic, we went all back virtually. And then now we have some in-person stuff again. But my point is, it's not like I was reaching my revenue goals right away. So I still had to do something else to pay the bills. And then eventually over time, it evolved, right? So I guess my very first thing I want to say is it's a commitment. It's a revenue model that it takes time. You got to feed it. And so I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
So it's a huge commitment, but I love it. I wouldn't do it any other way. I'm glad I stuck to it, the consistency, and just, talked about it. So I just wanted to share that, because I think a lot of times people get burnt out of things, and if they don't see the growth quickly, they want to switch. And it's like, and then these people are paying, like, if they pay annually, you're committed for a year unless you want to give them a refund, right? So do you get what I'm saying? Like, you want to make sure that it's a commitment. Okay. So that was the number 1 thing. The number 2 thing then is creating that success path. What is your success path for that client? People that are going to come to some type of membership or what this continuity type program, whatever it is that you're offering, if you're thinking about doing a membership model, they come first and foremost for the content typically, and then they stay for the community. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it never stops. Both of them, they go in tandem, but they come initially because it's like, okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I love this. I want to learn. I want to glean from this. And I want to be educated, or whatever it is that you're teaching and training people on, or whatever it is that you're offering. It could be, knitting. It could be painting. It could be coaching businesses. I mean, there's so many, it could be teaching guitar lessons, whatever it is that you're trying to create. You then need to have your curriculum, which we have our success path. Like, people need to know their way. Where are you leading people? And it can't be something, because what the thing with memberships is, it has to be things that you have to have something sticky that they're going to want to keep striving to or progressing with. So like with ours, you never check the box on the 6 M's. So we're always talking about them, because every month we rotate through them. So every 6 months, we're going to be talking about mindset. And then every 6 months, message market. But there are phases in people's, sometimes, again, if it's like a learning of, like, let's just say you're trying to teach somebody guitar lessons, hypothetically, and you have a membership, and maybe it's, $100 a month or $30 a month or 50, I don't care, whatever it is. They need to know, like, okay, here's phase 1, 2, 3 of where you're going to take me. So I'm coming for the content, but then I'm going to stay because I want to be around these aspiring guitarists and I'm learning from other people. And then you have to, be sewing into them in unique ways. Right. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be all the time. We don't do that, but you just need to know the path that you're taking them on. So that's the success path piece of it. Right. So how are they progressing? What does somebody who's starting, what are the problems that they're having? And then what is the result that they're looking to get? And what's that sticky piece that's going to keep them engaged and showing up so that every single time that payment comes out of their checking account, they look at that and they're like, oh, wait, no way, I would never, ever cancel that. And that's what Jen and I are always talking about. Like, what is it within Refine that we want to make sure that when they see that payment come out every month, that $97, that they're like, oh, that's a business expense I will never, ever cancel. That's our goal all the time. We're always thinking about that. Like, even like with me, getting my nails done. I know that sounds, it's not a membership, but every 4 weeks, I love what they do for my nails. And I go and I spend the $50 or whatever. Does that make sense? Because I know, okay. So, but like, even think about like Netflix. Okay. They're always coming out with like new movies or Hulu or whatever it is, that wherever you get your, and you're like, oh, I don't want to cancel that. It's only this. And I get the value from that one thing. And so you have to be thinking about that. So I hope that helps, but like just the commitment level to the business model, number 1. Number 2, the success path, the sticky piece. People need to go where they're going and where you're taking them. And then the community part is that third part. You have to decide, how are you going to engage? How are you going to inspire people to show up and be a part and contribute? And so you got to ask those questions and know the answers to them, because that's what so we teach people how to treat us, and people need to be told what to do. So like, we'll say something like, hey, put that in the group, ask for feedback. Like for us, every Monday, we have a group coaching call. And what makes that sticky for us is we also offer accountability during that call. We want people to show up that next week too. And we want to hear them check in. How you doing? You said last week that you were going to do this. Did you do it? You know what I mean? So it's up to them ultimately to show up, but it's something that we can offer. And you guys, it doesn't take much. Like, you can develop systems. Like, we've gotten really good at developing strategies behind the scenes and systems to streamline things. And so you can figure that out. It takes a little bit of time to systemize things, but over time you can figure that out, and it doesn't have to be a burden. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and then the other thing too is, inviting opportunity for people to share and collaborate, because they're going to start to get to know the other people in there and the community. And that's really what's going to create the tribe, I guess, if you want to call it that, So yeah, I don't know if that helps, but
yeah, that's so good. Would you like to add anything, Jen?
Yeah. I love the community that we've built, and I just have to give the truth of the matter is that we are where we are, and like the culture that we created it starts from the top. And Teri does such a great job of showing up authentically, real and raw. She's accessible, and she just walks the walk when it's like, this is your safe space. Like, it's also her safe space too in times, you know what I mean? And so like, I love that the community is what it is, but because of how it's like her recipe. Does that make sense? In a way, like, she's the one she's leading it, but she's also showing up in these ways that she's speaking about. And I think that is really what sets the tone in the culture. So I just want to say, like, if you're going to do a membership and things like that, really understanding, and again, this kind of is a little off topic, but not really, because I think it's so fundamental, is you have to know what you stand upon. You have to know your core values. And like, we have a faith statement because we're a Christian faith-based organization. Like, and that is one of our measuring sticks. And so that is one thing that, And we don't keep it a secret. Like we talk about it every single week on what these are. And it's who we are and how we show up. And it's the messaging that we just not only speak, but that's how, again, how we show up. So I just so love what we've created, but a really big piece of that, again, starts at the top, and she shows up. And so if you're bringing people on your team, just make sure that they are aligning with your core values and the vision that you have, because otherwise it starts to crack the foundation a little bit.
Yeah, that's good advice for sure.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Is there anybody in particular that you would say maybe a membership group is not what you need right now, or a prime example of somebody who needs to start a membership group? Can you think of those two types of people?
Yeah. So, again, I'm going to go back to, there are some business owners that they might be able to create a community, but it doesn't necessarily I don't know. It's so interesting because I feel like a lot of people could do a membership, but it goes back to, is this the business model that you want? Because I think about this one gal, she has like a t-shirt. I mean, she has an art store, or she did some artist stuff. And then she has this membership, but it's like a t-shirt membership. And every month she sends out a t-shirt. That's a membership. Like, she loves that model, and she's grown a multi-million-dollar business on getting a whole bunch of people who like to get this t-shirt in the mail, right? You've seen all of these different box memberships and different things like that. There's so many like ideas. So I would say if you aren't 100% committed to that type of continuity program, if you don't want to show up and I don't want to say grind it out, but initially it is a grind, because you have to start getting the word out about it, and it's all marketing and messaging, and it takes a lot of work. It's a lot to do, and people start to rely on you, and you have to be consistent. So if you are more like, and you don't want to create the community, you don't want to be interactive that much, I would say it's probably not your jam. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then for anybody who's running a program, if you're a coach or consultant or something like that, or you have a topic that people talk about a lot, you can create a community around any of that. Any of that can be, and it doesn't have to be a high paying community. Like, even if you're starting a podcast on a specific topic, let's just say, because I know that's what you do. And you want to say, hey, you know what? Join the whatever podcast club, whatever it is, because every week we have conversations over here about this, and you get exclusive blah, 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 whatever that is. If you join my club, and it could be $10 a month, it could be and that helps support the podcast. That's awesome. Could be $20. You could have different levels of membership there too. And I've seen a lot of podcasters do stuff like that. I've heard them, So I would say, but then it's its own model that needs to be fed. Right? Has to be fed. So it's a product. It's a product line. So you just have to think of it that way. So it's because, like, again, we have our 1-year business accelerator program. That's one product, and it has its own unique things in it. We have accountability. It has its own unique things in it. And then we have the refine. It has its own unique things in it. The only common thread is the success path. But each of them are different products. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
and coming back to the original conversation where we started, is that framework. And once you have that framework, and like Jen, what you said, knowing your core values, it's going to set you up so clearly on how you can deliver that in whatever platform, whether it's a business mastermind, whether it's accountability, whether it's one-on-one coaching, or in a community group itself. So good. Yeah.
So one thing I'd love to add to what Terri said too is we, a lot of times with our clients, we reverse engineer things. So we go to like, okay, like if you could wave a magic wand, what does your week look like as a business owner, and how much revenue are you generating? If this is where you want to be in the next 12 to 18 months, then we back into it and be like, okay, if you're going to run a membership, then again, based on the price point, depends on, you have to match that up with value, right? And so sometimes just knowing where you want to be, and then looking at bigger picture on saying like, okay, can I do this Or is this just a piece of it, but I only allot so much time a week for the content in this specific subscription or membership model or different things like that, you know?
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of pieces to it, but ultimately memberships are great. And the other one that I think memberships are really great for communities. I love Terri that she said that she's repeating a lot of different things. Like if you're that person too, but if you're burnt out, if you're tired of exchanging like dollars for hours and you can't extend yourself anymore, now you have to figure out how to scale. To grow, right? Mm-hmm. And so the membership model is a great option for that as well.
Yeah, that's a
one little thing I want to mention too is you guys repurpose.
Amen.
I don't care if it's on social media platforms or whatever, like the content that I give out in Refined Community always seems fresh, but I can guarantee you it probably was used 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So save everything that you post or share. And in 2 years, because we are very blessed. Our average active client stays with us for 28 months? Like when somebody's active. Yeah. So that's, we have a really great rate that way. Now don't get me wrong. We have people that cancel after 3 months, 10 months, 8 months, 2 months, 1 month, once in a while. It just depends, right? They don't think it's the right fit for them. Some people, they pivot in their own businesses. Sometimes we're like, they quit their business or whatever. You just never know. But my point is like, all of that content is refreshed. So like Kristin, like if you're in the Refined Community and you see something, you're like, oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Chances are I probably posted that 5 years ago somewhere in there, but I'm repurposing it. So that's the other thing. Like I was saying, like if you have systems and you just save everything and you can figure out how to repurpose, because there is turnover with memberships.
Yeah.
And so you don't always have to be coming up. So if you could get a library of like 2 years worth, 2 to 2.5 years worth of stuff, then just start repurposing after that. So that's what I did. I just saved everything. Mm-hmm. And then after about 2 years is when I started to recycle things, because I saw their turnover. I knew kind of the average lifetime. And I mean, think about it, you guys. Can you even remember what you did a week ago or what you read? No. I mean, so 2 years later, people think, oh, this is great. Yeah, I posted it 2 years ago. They don't even know. You know what I mean? So mm-hmm. Same with your social media. If you're running out of social media content, just go back 5 years ago, 3 years ago to some of your old posts, refresh them, give them a little facelift, but just copy and paste and post it again. Nobody cares. Nobody's seen it and it doesn't matter. So just another little tip on how to make your life easier. And sometimes we just need to refresh something and repost it like it's brand new and nobody even knows because it's been so long. And there's too much content out there. People don't pay attention anyway.
Totally. Yeah. And that's right in line with what I'll tell my long-term podcast clients who are under our management is you can just go back to episode 1 and what would you say new on top of that? Like you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel, because most of the time people, like you said, are going to forget what they heard. Yep. So yes, do that with your social media and your groups and your membership and your coaching. It's so valuable. So speaking of valuable, I mentioned earlier that you guys have a podcast out now that it's, aren't you guys on like episode 15, 16 at this point?
I think so. I think we did just drop that. Yeah.
So the Keeping It Personal podcast is available for anybody who wants to listen. If you guys are curious about hearing more in depth on the 6 M's that she talked about, that framework and the path to success, which obviously they know what they're talking about, as you have just heard, then I encourage you to go listen. Start at the trailer and then move forward from episode 0 all the way to the latest episode, because you will really get a feel of what that journey is like. And of course, I'm going to plug the Refined Community. If you are a Christian entrepreneur and want to be in a like-minded group of supportive women who, I mean, every week I feel like the group is so tender, and you hear both business and life and how we can encourage one another on top of a little nugget of coaching in there as well. So I'm going to plug that as well for you guys. Any other last statements or conversation?
Yeah, well, Kristin, I was going to say, if you do want to share a link in the show notes for somebody who wants to check out the Refine community, then you can put the VIP guest link.
Okay.
And then it'll say like, how did you hear about it? And you can just say, Kristin, you know what I mean? Or Kristin's podcast. And we'd love to have them just even check it out on a Wednesday where we do the networking. They can actually see everything that we just talked about in action in 90 minutes. This is a 90-minute. We do them every Wednesday. So that would be awesome for them just to get a taste of how we're doing it behind the scenes. Yeah.
Okay. Jen, anything else that you'd like to share?
I don't think so. We talked about a lot today. So thank you so much for having us on the show. It was so fun.
Yes. Thanks for coming on the show, ladies. It's such a joy to be with you too.
Yeah. Have a great day.
We adore you.
Thanks for listening to Holistic Podcasting. I want you to know that I truly value every listen. To show my appreciation, I offer a one-on-one free podcast consultation call. Whether you're wanting to start a podcast or you're ready to take your podcast to a whole nother level, come sign up. The link is below down in the show notes. Have a great day.